All right, my name is Brandon Boom. I'm with Shop 11. I've been an employee with them for about 2 years now. And for my OLRM video area of expertise, I'm going to show you guys how to ride a dirt bike. I'm going to give you guys some beginner-friendly tips on how to get started out. So today we're going to go over all about levers and components you need to know how to operate to successfully and safely ride the dirt bike. I'm going to teach you about the component setup as well, so it's comfortable for you ergonomically. And then I'm going to teach you proper riding form, and I'm going to teach you how to start out and how to shift. So a little bit of background on this bike. This is a 2019 Yamaha YZ250F. 250 meaning the displacement of the motor is 250 cc, and F meaning it's a 4-stroke. And then a little bit about myself. I've been riding since about 2011, 2012-ish, and started riding, playing around, having fun at the track and the trails, and started racing competitively at 2013. And ever since then, it's been a journey of ups and downs, lots of fun, lots of hospital trips as well. I've gained a lot of wins. I've gotten a few injuries. I've gotten 2 state championships in 2015. And then ever since then, I've been working full time and haven't really been taking racing very seriously. So that was kind of my peak in the sport, if you will. But it's definitely been a lot of fun. It's something me and my family like to do. We like to spend our weekends at the track and racing and stuff. So yeah. So first things first, we're going to go over all the levers and components you need to know how to operate the bike. So starting at the handlebars, first and foremost, on the right hand side here is your throttle. This is what makes the bike go. This is where all the power comes from. And this little lever right here in front of the throttle, that's going to be your front brake. So spin the tire. It's got a pretty strong front brake on there. You come around to the left side, this is just a grip to hang on to. And the lever right in front of the left grip is going to be your clutch, as this is a manual 5-speed transmission dirt bike, as are most of them. So you're going to need to know how to work a manual transmission to be able to ride, which I will teach you later. But yeah, this is your clutch right here. And then this little red button is going to be your kill switch. This is what turns the bike off. And then there's no kickstart on this bike, which usually bikes do have kickstart. This one, I'm fortunate enough to have electric start, and that button is right here. Punch and start button, and this is your kill switch. So that's everything you pretty much need to know on the handlebars. And down here at the foot pegs, on the left-hand side here, this is your shift lever. So right now we're in neutral, and that's between first and second gear. So to be able to get to first gear, you just do a simple click down. And now you're in first gear, and you know this because it's at a dead lock. And then it's a 5-speed, so all you need to do is shift up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not going to shift through the gears because the bike's not on. But so yeah, so to get back to first, just shift it down, and you know you're in first from the deadlock. And to get back to neutral, all you do is do a little half click up because it's in between first and second gear. And then we come around to the right-hand side. This little pedal here is what operates the rear brake, rear brake. So that's going to be your rear brake. Rear brake at the pedal on the right side, or at the foot peg, and then front brake on the top by the handlebar, both on the right side. So that's pretty much all the controls you guys need to know on how to ride. Next, I'm going to teach you how to set it up for yourself. So if you'll come around here, get on here. You're going to want to sit about where the seat is at the lowest point of its crest. So right about in this area is where you're going to want to sit to be comfy. And then for bar setup, you obviously don't want to have your bars rolled too forward or rolled super far down because it's not going to be comfy. You want it kind of middle-ish. So that's how you set up your bars. And then levers, you want to just, have your elbows out and just stick your fingers straight out. And that's exactly where you want to keep your levers. You don't want to run your clutch like way up here or way down here to be able to grab your levers, because that's just super uncomfortable and awkward to try to grab them. So you want to keep them at a pretty neutral position, easy to reach. So that's all lever setup and ergonomics of the bike. And the pedal The pedal and shift lever have adjustments too, but I always just leave them how it comes from the factory, just because it comes pretty good. And you're not like riding on them constantly all the time, you're just operating them. So that's all the setup that you need to know. So next we'll go into proper riding form. So starting off, obviously you're not going to have a stand underneath you, so you're going to have both feet on the ground. And you're going to start out and you're going to shift your feet. Once you start rolling, you're going to shift your feet up to the balls of your feet. And you're going to want to keep your ankles tight against the frame. And when you start to stand, you're going to want to keep your knees against the gas tank. On the Yamahas, this is the gas tank right here. Usually on a dirt bike, the gas tank is right here, but Yamahas are kind of flip-flopped. The air filter is usually down here, and the gas tank's usually here, but Yamaha kind of flip-flopped them. So this is your gas tank, and on this bike, you want to kind of keep your knees in a good locked position on the gas tank. And for that reason, you know, you don't want to be riding with your knees out like this, and because when you start to get going fast, the only thing you're hanging on really with is your hands, and you're just gonna want to put a death grip on the handlebars. And you don't want to have the death grip on your bike, because in the sport of motocross, it gives you something called arm pump, and it's where your forearms just fill up with blood and get rock hard. It makes it super hard to operate your levers and throttle, which can be very dangerous if you think about it, because you could just not be able to let off the throttle because of how much arm pump you have. So always make sure you got a good strong grip on the bike with your legs. Yeah, and so that's pretty much it for the lower half. Just grip tight, and for the upper half, you're going to want to keep your back straight. You know, have your hips unlocked so they can move around just in case, you know. And always keep your elbows out as well. Don't ride like this because you have no leverage. You know, if you're riding on the track or in the trails somewhere and you come across a rock or a big bump, it's just going to make your bars go crazy. So you want to keep your elbows out and, you know, make sure you got good sturdy leverage on it, and you have that side-to-side motion as well. So that's pretty much it for form. That's pretty much the main tips and key points for it, but always do what's comfortable for you as well. Don't feel like you're riding in an awkward position. So that's it for levers and controls, setup, and riding form. So next we're going to actually teach you how to ride the bike.
That's good.
Alright, so now that you learned all the controls and the proper form to ride, now comes the time to actually ride the bike. So what you're going to want to do is have it in neutral, have it rolling back and forth, not in gear. And you're going to want to start it, obviously, and always warm your bike up too. I warmed this one up for about 5 minutes before the video just to save some time, obviously. But always have your bike warmed up. Don't ever just start it and ride, because that's terrible for the engine, and the bike ain't going to last long if you continuously do that. So always warm it up, and what you're going to want to do, here, bring it closer. What you're going to want to do is, once you have the bike started in neutral, you're going to want to shift down into first. So it's in first at the deadlock. So you're going to want to have the clutch in first and foremost. Have the clutch in, then shift down to first. Have the clutch in, shift down to first, and then what you're going to want to do is let the clutch out slowly. There's an engagement point on this thing, which I'll show you in a little bit, where it starts to grab the bike. Here, I'll show you right now, actually. Now it's started, shift it in first, and I'm not even going to have my hand on the throttle, but you can see the bike start to pull when I let the clutch out a little bit. That's the engagement point. And when it starts to engage is when you're going to want to give it just a hair of throttle, just a little bit, not a lot, because it'll get those RPMs up, and when you let the clutch out, you're just going to take off. So you want to start slow. So, and then a big mistake that a bunch of beginners always do is they pull the clutch in and shift down to the first, and they just let the clutch out. And this is what it looks like when you do that. That's what you don't want to do. You want to let it out slow with a little bit of gas. And this is what it looks like when you do that. that time I used both my front and rear brake to stop there. And always when you stop, you want to pull the clutch in too, so, just so your motor doesn't die, because this is what it'll sound like if you stop when you don't pull the clutch in. It'll just die. So always have your clutch in when you're stopping. So that's that. And then so now you know how to start off. Now we're going to teach you how to shift. So I'm going to show you what it sounds like when you don't shift in first gear when the RPMs are up. When the RPMs get up is when you're going to want to pull the clutch in, let off the throttle, and shift it with your foot. If you're pointing it at my foot, point it or shift it with your foot into second. So always up. So I'll show you what it sounds like when you don't shift. That's what you don't want to do, and here's what you want to do. When the RPMs are high like that, your bike's going to slow down, and it's going to make that super high revving sound, which is pretty bad for the motor if you keep running it like that. So when the RPMs are high like that, you're going to want to let off the throttle, pull in the clutch all the way till it engages, and scoop your foot under the shifter and shift up to second. So this is what it sounds like. That is pretty much all you need to know for shifting. It's the same process for going into third, fourth, and even fifth. So that's it.